I've just got hold of this new Walther's kit. It's the gas plant with washing tanks. This is the latest addition to the layout, but I'm going to have to extend the existing baseboard to accommodate it. So there's a few jobs in the offing, so we'll see how we get on. The plan at this end is to extend the industrial area onto a removable module, and the battens for this are already in place. Well, this is the new piece of MDF that I've used to extend the layout, and I've just propped up the unmade four walls of the new kit in place and a few vehicles just to get some idea what it could look like. At the moment there are no roads on the layout, so the plan is at this end to have a road bridge from this corner over to the far corner. Well, the room has been in use for a couple of weeks now, but it's back, and as I mentioned earlier, before I lower the baseboard again, I need to reposition, amongst other things, I need to reposition these telegraph poles at the back. At the moment they're just sitting slightly too low when the baseboard is raised. As I also mentioned before, I plan to put a road bridge across this corner of the layout over to this side, but I need to build a buttress for the bridge at this end here first, so I'm leaving the baseboard down until I can figure out how I'm going to put the supports at that end. So while the baseboard was still down, I cut out this piece of MDF for the bridge support and was able to fix it just to the edge. Then I did the same for this end and also added just some mouldings onto the front and painted it matte black. I then glued a small batten to the far end of the bridge and a similar piece on the support at this side. I don't plan to fix the bridge deck in place, the baseboard is already heavy enough, and there's also some decoration to go on there, and at the far end under there there'll be some brick paper attached to the support at that end. Well, I've now glued these side pieces to the bridge deck and painted the whole thing in this base grey colour. I'll also be adding these Backman pavement or sidewalk sections to the bridge, just on one side. I'll also be adding these Wills Kits girder bridge span sections to the side of the bridge. Well, I started by gluing single layers of the panels on either side of the bridge here. Then there'll be a layer of flanges across the top, followed by a double thickness of the plates right the way along. Although it still needs weathering and detailing, this is the bridge in place, but I found that the sides are just that little bit too tall and they partly obscure the vehicles that are sitting on the bridge. So to increase the road height just a little, I cut out some plywood, and that eventually will be stuck to the surface of the bridge. Something like that. And the byproduct of that is that I was able to simply use masking tape to create the lines. Having been inspired by a video on Kathy Millatt's brilliant YouTube channel, I scored some cracks in the road surface and highlighted them with a black Sharpie. Well, the washing tanks for the gas plant kit are now assembled, but still await some painting and weathering. To ensure exact placing of the structures each time the module is placed into position, I'm also making these curves out of painted balsa wood which will be glued down. Well, I'm currently in the middle of assembling this ratio security fencing around this truck parking area. I had to modify the gates to span the approach road. The unfinished pavement sections are from scale model scenery. I use masking tape to create the yellow lines for the parking bays. The next job is to weather and age the tarmac surface. I'm going to start by putting a small amount of scenic texturing along the lower edge of the fence on both sides. I use fishing line for the top 3 strands of wire. Somewhat fiddly, but well worth the effort. I've painted some repair patches onto the surface and added some weeds between the joins in the concrete slabs. There are now some oil stains where the trucks are parked as well. The drains and assorted ironwork are from scale model scenery. The diesel fueling point is a Gauge Master Faller kit and still needs painting. I recently took delivery of 3 more Oxford die-cast vehicles which came from Hatton's. So there's just a few more details to go in this area now. Well, back at the so-called country end, I'm going to try to create a rudimentary forced perspective extension to the road bridge. I've already added a retaining wall. So this is very much a trial and error process. What I've done is stick some scenic texture into a piece of cardboard. The idea being to increase the height of the terrain on the backdrop. At least there's a vague sense now that the road actually turns down the hill and not just heads off into the clouds. I managed to fit a small piece of ply in there to carry a couple of small road vehicles. I think it helps just a little to maintain the illusion. A few road vehicles on the bridge go to help the disguise. That seems like a reasonable place to bring this particular update to an end. No doubt on the next one I'll get round to fixing this background lighting and also adjusting the heights of the telegraph poles. But they can only be really done when the baseboard is lowered next time. Also outstanding from the previous video is the kit bashing for the signal gantry, which will be roughly in this sort of area. Well, to those who have survived this far into the video, thanks very much for watching, and until next time.